And here we go. The Chinook pulls up to begin the 2023 display with a pedal turn. The aircraft brakes left after the pedal turn to set up for the next manoeuvre, the offset wingover. The same way a frontline pilot will recce a landing site before their landing. He's running in now for the famous roller coaster, pitching the aircraft up to 50 degrees from the horizontal before pushing over at the top, bunting the aircraft and racing back down towards his hard deck of 100 feet. As he passes crowd centre, he'll enter the second half of the roller coaster, asking the Chinook's two 5,000 horsepower engines to offer up a big chunk of their performance before throwing the aircraft over the top of the second bunt. Joining Jim in the cockpit today is Flight Lieutenant Jamie Johnson. Now.
Ready, enter, now. 10, 20, 30.
As they complete their nose over, they begin setting the aircraft up for the second of the pedal turns. Jim puts the aircraft into a max performance climb before putting in a large pedal input at the apex, reversing the aircraft through 180 degrees. As they exit the pedal turn, they'll perform a pass of the flight line and give you a chance for some cracking photos linked with the modern battlefield. During conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq, the unmistakable sound of the Chinook's blade flap offered assurance to those on the ground that help was always to hand. The unmatched combination of power, agility, is used to turn the aircraft on a sixpence. This is particularly useful when the troops are spotted late in an approach, as it enables us to rapidly transition from ramming speed to bringing support to the troops on the ground. From the hover, the crew will now open the ramp and give our crewmen the best seat at the Cosford Airshow. This is a chance to show our crew some appreciation as they wave back at you with the iconic orange hands. Operating the orange hands today is Sergeant Steve Shaw. Steve, originally from the Peak District, spent his childhood watching Chinooks conducting training flights along the Derwent Valley. The RAF now retired Tornado fleet for operational sorties. However, in 2015, he sought a change of career and converted to aircrew, fulfilling a lifelong ambition of being paid to fly for a living. Demonstrate the Chinook's astonishing power-to-weight ratio. As they complete the corkscrew, they'll begin a 405-degree spiral descent back down towards their hard deck. It's worth noting that all of our display active and engineers work tirelessly to deliver their normal operational output and will return to work tomorrow to fly and fix helicopters and ensure the UK retains a credible air manoeuvre capability. The crew are positioning now for a run-in and break. This is a great chance for a photo of the aircraft's underbelly, but more importantly, enables Jim to bring the blade slap to RAF Cosford. But there's an awful lot more, which is used as an emergency procedure if we lose an engine. Let's join the crew to hear how JJ passes goes down. that has helped many a crew get out of a tight spot. As they lift to the hover, please give them a big wave and a cheer. They assure me that if you're loud enough, they can hear you over the thunderous sound of the Chinook blade flap. With a flash of the landing lights and a wave from the crewmen, the 2023 Chinook display is finished. It has been an honour to display the Boeing CH-47 Chinook for you here today and bring the blade flap to RAF Cosford. Please come and find us in the RAF village to meet our team, learn more about the wealth of exciting careers available in the RAF, and ask any questions you might have about the Chinook Force. We look forward to meeting you later on. It has been our pleasure to display for you.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please put your hands together. In the programming with the C-130 just before and then the Chinook, as both these aircraft have something very important in common. Only 10 military aircraft worldwide have enjoyed over 60 years of continuous military service. The Chinook is one, first entering military service in 1962. The C-130 Hercules is another, entering service in 1956, and I'm pleased to say we will have a third. Effect. The controls are now responsive and a lot more twitchy as Red 1 brings a formation around the left for the Apollo present. On the left of Red 1 is Flight Lieutenant Tom Hansford, Red 3. He is in the first year on the team. He is a former Typhoon pilot and qualified weapons instructor. This means he would teach all frontline weapons, instructional and techniques and tactics to the entire front line. Reds 2 and 3 smoke comes on as the rest of the formation make their way rearwards to form Eagle, the second of our space-themed shapes. Of course, Reds 4 and 5 are now all the way back at the formation, which makes their formation keeping even more difficult. For the Eagle present. So far we have seen the Apollo space mission formation and now the Eagle landing craft formation. This is a nod to the importance of space as the Royal Air Force acknowledges that space plays a vital role in all future military operations. On the far right hand side is Red 4, Flight Lieutenant Ollie Suckling. First year on the team, a former Tornado GR4 pilot and a former Hawk T2 qualified flying instructor. Ear and not by eye. That means they're putting the input in based on the commands of Red 1. He needs to make those commands predictable, clear and concise over the radio. Means that the guys on the outside of the formation who have to from Red 1 and the aboard call is made from Red 7 as 7 and 8 roll around the smoke of the rest of the formation. You'll notice that the formation are flying with their air brakes out. That is a small door on the base of the aircraft towards the rear. This means that the throttle is now at a higher setting. Which enhances the manoeuvre, such as Tornado. 6 communicating with the rest of Hannah, ensuring that he doesn't step on the communication of Red 8. Lining himself up with the rest of Enid. Enid coming in from our front left-hand side with inverted V as Red 8 completes the goose. Red 1 gathers the rest of Enid and brings them around to the left-hand side. As the aircraft pass, you will see they have a smoke pod underneath the aircraft. That smoke pod is capable of producing 5 minutes of white smoke, 1 minute of blue smoke, and 1 minute of red smoke. Each colour is 6. They roll away from each other, the smoke comes on as they part and perform the crowd's favourite, the synchro heart. Today's heart is dedicated to Philip Stanton, the father of Adam and Pamela, who recently passed away. And also I'd like to dedicate it to my own family who are here today. And spinning the heart from the top left is Red 8, where they perform a series of barrel rolls in the double rolls. I talked earlier of our blues personnel. Over 140 of them, and they wear blue due to the coveralls that they wear. Amongst those blues are 10 individuals who are specially selected to fly in the aircraft in the big display of the One individual who's with me at every display is Circus 10, Corporal Bill Dye. Look to your ready for the Enid coronation vertical break. He makes the call. Red 7 and 8, the red and blue go on as they roll around the smoke of Red 6. Smoking blue is Red 7, Flight Attendant Blue on operations with 11 and 12 at Royal Air Force Coventry. Looking to your right hand side, you have Enid running back in, smoking white. As this red smoke comes on and reds 2 and 3 roll around the rest of the formation. Clear and go is the call as reds 4 and 5 roll around and Enid the full the rollback. The heart of Enid will be piloted. 7 and 8 smoke blue as they roll around the red smoke of Red 6 in Vortex. Get your cameras ready for Hannah's last break of the show, the Hannah break. Red 6 and 7. Look, the red Red 1 rolls the RAF formation, leaving the infinity symbol in the sky for the infinity break. Royal Air Force Cosford, it's been an absolute pleasure. Please put your hands together for the 2023 Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows!
Squadron, look out to the right, the RAF Eurofighter Typhoon FGR-4. Being initially posted to number 11 Squadron and taking part in many of the operational duties that the Typhoons have been involved with in recent years. Making sure the aircraft stays rock steady, down to perhaps 130, 120 knots. That will look very slow indeed. Yes, like a lot of modern combat aircraft designs, the design of the Typhoon in itself is inherently unstable, and it's stabilised by that digital fly-by-wire control system, which also gives it what's known as carefree handling, not allowing the pilot to take the aeroplane outside of its flight envelope. Really, when it comes to Typhoon operations, at one end you've got close air support and overwatch, and a lot of that going on Shaker. At the other end, complex air-to-air missions. able to switch between air-to-air and air-to-ground with ease in the course of a single sortie. So from the right-hand side, final pass, this is Royal Air Force Typhoon.
Engines as they make their approach now. What an entrance, and one we hope will stay with you for a long time after this display. Patrouille Lancaster PA474 is one of, as I said, one of only two of these iconic four-engine heavy bombers still airworthy. This year we've remembered Operation Chastise, known as the Dambusters Raid, which took place 80 years ago this year. PA474 was built at the Vickers Armstrong Broughton factory at Horton in 1945 at the end of the war. And permission was granted for the aircraft to display the coat of arms of the name of the city on its nose. Who work all year round to maintain the aircraft in a safe and the condition for everyone to enjoy. This includes deploying every weekend throughout the summer to provide engineering support after each display flight. If you'd like to help support us at the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, we offer two fantastic membership options through our partners, the BBMF Official Club and the Lancashire Association. Membership to either... PA474 is currently painted on its port side as Lancaster W5005. We are a living memorial to those that served, honouring and promoting the courage and bravery of all those who came before us. However, we also proudly give our support and inspiration. 65. Very special aircraft. It was the last Hurricane to be built, rolling off the Hawker production line at Langley. Spitfire AB 910 44. Also famously flew the first unauthorised Spitfire passenger, Margaret Horton, was weighing the tail down whilst the aircraft was attempting to take off. Post-war AB flew as an air racer for 6 years before being returned to Vickers Armstrong for refurbishment in 1953. After this, it was displayed regularly by renowned Spitfire test pilots. We would like to publicly thank our industry partners whose ongoing support is critical to the continued operation of our fleet throughout maintenance. Running in now is Hurricane. Keen to preserve the last Hurricane built, Hawkers purchased the aircraft from the Air Ministry and kept it in storage at Langley. And in 1950, PZ-865 was entered in the King's Cup Air Race by HRH Princess Margaret, flown by Greek Captain Peter Townsend. During the 1960s, PZ was returned to its wartime camouflage scheme and made numerous displays appearances. In March 1972, after complete overhaul, PZ-865 was flown to Colchester and presented by Hawker Siddeley to the BBMF. PZ-865 currently appears in all black night fighter colour scheme, replicating the Hurricane Mark IIc BE 634. Coded ZYV of 247 Squadron, the squadron's Hurricanes were used for night air defence over Plymouth and Exeter area for night intruder operations against targets in northern western France. If you'd like to leave up to date with our activity, you can find us on social media, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, as we hear the sound of the Merlin engines once again, please give a round of applause for the BBMF display team. And running in, we have the North American Swan Mustang with Papa Merlin engine trailed by the Supermarine Spitfire PR-19 with its Rolls-Royce Griffon. Straight away from that opening pass, you can hear those magnificent engine notes, but as you mentioned, Ben, both very, very different. So first in is the Spitfire Mark 19. When you think of Spitfire, you think of Battle of Britain. Well, if you think Battle of Britain, you're largely thinking of the Mark 1 and the Mark 2 Spitfire. This, the Mark 19. The development potential of the Spitfire, the basic design of the Spitfire, was developed into a huge number of marks. This aircraft had to rely on speed and altitude to escape the enemy, and they were frequently brought to combat. They were frequently chased because these aircraft were sent out over Europe to photograph targets, both future, current and past. Mentioned earlier on that observation was the first role of air power. Well, this aircraft, along with others, a squadron leader and photographer called Sidney Cotton, who thought we need to do something about this, and he managed to extract 2 Spitfires from the Air Ministry. He deployed his formidable photographic knowledge. Largely responsible for its colour. There are 853, one of the batch of 79 Mark 19s built by Supermarine at their famous Southampton works. Did see service during the Second World War. Very much involved in Operation Crossbow, again trying to find and photograph the launching sites for the German V1 and V2 weapons, the Doodlebug and the V2 rocket. Along with a few other Mark 19s, it was converted for aircraft flight, later to be called the Royal Air Force Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. This aircraft powered by the Rolls-Royce Griffon engine, 37-litre engine, rated at between 2,200 and 2,800 horsepower. You compare that with the early Merlins in the early marks of Spitfire, they were rated around about 1,000 to 1,100 horsepower. This easily double that. We have 2 other Mark 19s actually on the ground, in the showground. 5 barrel roll.
Our Spitfire we've got here is from the Aircraft Restoration Company on the ground towards the right-hand end of the showground, but now taking over from the Spitfire. Here we have one of the applications of the Merlin. But the Merlin only came to be used by the Mustang following the aircraft's initial development with the Allison V1710 engine. This may have been an American-designed and built aeroplane, but it's one with very much from United States manufacturers as a means of bolstering the UK's own production during the Second World War. That British Purchasing Commission was on the search for more fighters for the Royal Air Force. And indeed, the early Mustangs to enter service with the Royal Air Force V1710 engine. This in spite of the outstanding Mustang airframe, officer of the Royal Air Force's Air Fighting Development Unit at Duxford, Ian Campbell-Ord, and his friend Ronnie Harker, a test pilot for Rolls-Royce during 1942. It was from that the idea of fitting a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine to make the most of the Mustang airframe stemmed. It first took its performance was a revelation, and so the Mustang was transformed. While the Allison engine Mustangs continued to lack of capacity Rolls-Royce itself had while making Merlins for such as Spitfires, Mosquitoes and Lancasters that came to hold sway in Mustang inventories by the end of World War II. The long-range escort fighter with the US 8th Army Air Force from bases in Essex. For it. Being here is a great privilege. The leader gives the comrades and allocates the flight marshal for the team. In other words, he is responsible for ensuring that all figures and changes information take place at the right time and in the right place. Each pilot orients himself according to his wingman and thus keeps his exact position.
Here's a bit of information about our F-5 Tiger fighter jets. The two-engine pushes the pilots in the sky to race a flight of around 170 meters per second. The F-5 has been in reliable service with the Patrouille Swiss since 1995. That means almost 30 years now, with a top speed of this fighter jet of around 920 knots, so about 1,050 miles per hour. The voice you hear on the radio is live from the cockpit.
Our program is optimized every season and the new formations are added.
Tiger 1. can hear the calls from the cockpits. Difficult to understand. It's kind of a mix or formation change.
RAF 88
Ladies and gentlemen, a surprise! Live from the cockpit, a message from our leader. Tutti pronto? Libero.
Personnel carriers and 4 spitfire tanks, and that was the first ever operational employment of the TOW missile. Modern historic. Yes, it was. That this very one was in service just 10 years ago. Dated from 1978, built from Mark I. Western, the manufacturer, kept it to a test and demonstration aeroplane, delivered it to the Army Air Corps in March 1983. 10 years after that came the upgrade to Mark 7 standard, electronics, more powerful engines, the Rolls-Royce Jet turboshaft, a revised tail rotor, and infrared shrouds on the engine exhaust. And it's still got 6,500 flying hours, this airframe, in service with the Army Air Corps by the time it was retired in 2013. Then used as a donor airframe for the Wildcat program that Andy just mentioned. The airframe was stripped and disposed of by the Ministry of Defence. Graham Hinckley, who's owned many historic helicopter types then bought it, intended it to be literally a garden ornament, static soaping in his garden at home. But he then decided on a return to bureaus from the former USSR, think of Tupolev, Ikovan, Ilyushin, Yak.
certainly is, and there was a whole series of these Yakov-Lev fighters as this one gets into the air, the Yak-3 UTI PW. I'll explain why it has such a long-winded designation in a while. The first of them was the Yak-1. Is a result of a Franco-Romanian collaboration, and here it comes in to start its display, running in from our left. On the French side was a company called Capelle Aviation, which had been involved in recovering a large number of Yak-11 trainers from Egypt, that being a very close cousin again of the Yak-3 in Romania, in both single or two-seat form. And this one is a two-seater, hence the UTI designation, which was used by the Soviets to mean two-seat trainer.
And I think an interesting engine on this particular aircraft, not exactly original.
No, a 1300 horsepower, so similar to the performance, but a very different type of engine note. That rumbling radial sound really sounds wonderful accompanying this aircraft.
During the war, some of the Jacks were re-engined because the original liquid-cooled, as always happened, fighter aircraft are pressed into the ground attack role, whether they're built for it or not. Engine, you lose all your coolant, 90 seconds later your engine seizes. So a radial engine, which relying on air for cooling, much more robust against ground.
And particularly in the sort of low-level radiation. Now we saw the French Air and Space Force, as it's now known, at the start of the show with their Régiment de Chasse 3. It was a Free French unit which had been set up after the German invasion of the Soviet Union in an effort to increase fraternal ties between the Free French forces under Charles de Gaulle and their Soviet counterparts.
And indeed there is a darker Yak-3 story linked with one of our themes here, the Berlin airlift. It's generally regarded as the 1948 Qatar air disaster. Mid-air collision in the aerospace above Berlin, right during the Berlin airlift. In fact, it was BEA, a British European Airways,
right the way through the Cold War, undertook harassment of Western aircraft using the air corridors, which were the only routes from West Germany across East German territory to the divided city of Berlin. It's something of a miracle there weren't more such disasters as that occurred 75 years ago this year.
and I think it's fair to say it still happens.
RA role, albeit of course the Berlin air corridors thankfully are long consigned to the past.
And one in the exact opposite direction. And if you're anywhere near the centre of the airfield, you can see the windsock, which is looking pretty sad at the moment. Hanging there very limp.
Yes.
I think at most we've got a couple of knots, almost light and variable wind. So wind's not a factor at all for the aircraft taking off and landing. So you can almost use the runway at their own discretion. It's not quite as simple as that, but sometimes it's easier to land in one direction to reduce taxiing and so on. Especially with some of these propeller aircraft, they don't like taxiing on the ground, especially on such a hot day. They get very, very hot. So important that once they're down, we can get them parked up, shut down as soon as possible. Not only to cool the engine, but to cool the pilot as well. Doughty Milliken flew 27 of the 35 operations on his tour with 50 Squadron. He was... is the home, the centre, the mega centre of RAF engineering.
RAF technical training has been Cosford's raison d'etre for decades, and long may it continue. It gives this station is known as the old raspberry ripple colour scheme, the red, white and blue livery that was used by the aircraft of the then Royal Aircraft back there. to those days at Farnborough, Boscombe Down and Bedford.
And something you will not see anywhere else. I mean, we named that area the Catterick.
Yeah, CT, which is one of the static aircraft so kindly provided by the Royal Air Force Museum Midlands, as it's now known here at Cosford, and we're very grateful to them for their support. Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, and a team that we've not seen in this particular type of Extra 300 because they upgraded in 2017 to this 330 LX model. Getting airborne now, the Royal Jordanian Falcons, and they'll be getting into formation, ready to run in and start their display shortly. Royal Jordanian Falcons. So they start off in box formation for an initial quarter cloverleaf manoeuvre, drawing in the sky the outline of a quarter of a cloverleaf, and we'll soon see the first of the formation changes as from box they go into T for Tango formation for the line abreast loop. And out of that, the team will be transitioning into a left-hand barrel roll. Once again, as if tracing the outline of the inside of an imaginary barrel in the sky. And as they head towards the right-hand end of the display line and roll out, they'll be using a wing over to bring themselves back onto the logbooks, flying the F5 and the Mirage F1 in the Royal Jordanian Air Force on the front line. So there is that cloverleaf. And as they head away from us, they're doing so what we refer to as the B axis. The A axis is the one parallel to the main runway. The B axis is at right angles to that. They head away from us and pull up, but now separating and putting the smoke on for the Falcon's heart. And that double cross is the cue for three of the aircraft to leave the arena for a few moments while the solo man, the slot man in the formation at the back of the foreship, shows us something of what the 330LX model of the Extra can do in the first of his solo routines. This is Captain Sharif Hassouk. He's the chief pilot of the team, having joined in 2016. He is another graduate of the King Hussein Air College, flying the F5 in the fighter role, and then the Airbus C295 twin-turbo prop transport. Now the three-ship formation runs in line astern for the trail loop. Very tight three-ship Vic formation, which they loop at the right-hand end of the display line before fanning out. Three aeroplanes now going into line abreast, and we'll see them pull up in unison, the speed gradually bleeding off for synchronized stall turns. Up and up and up they go, and then each applying rudder. Beautiful synchronization. And we'll see now the lead and the left wingman going into mirror formation with the right wingman barrel rolling around the smoke as they execute a turn to the right. Flying in mirror to the leader is the left wingman in the 2023 formation in aerobatic flight. Now here come the three aircraft entering from our left. And again another of those cloverleaf manoeuvres, this time prior to a downward split. Something going on all the time in this display, the three aircraft all going vertical in front of us. Again, stall turns with rather more separation between them than the last time, and once again the solo coming in. You can see the soloist heading away, you can see the three ship heading in, inverted with smoke on. And this is time for one of the signature manoeuvres of the Royal Jordanian Falcons, as they now roll the right way up and head in towards the display datum for the Hashemite break. There's only a few breaks, one of them having been due to the pandemic, of course. The team and its aircraft transported over in C-130 Hercules transports of the Royal Jordanian Air Force for a wide-ranging European tour, of which this, as I said, is the first stop for 2023. A wide array. That requiring an immense amount of coordination and concentration on the part of all four pilots. And out of that, against this steadily darkening sky, he was very heavily involved with number 6 Squadron, Royal Air Force. Spent a good deal of time stationed out in the Middle East. And so the team are honoured guests whenever they fly to an RAF base, but here they are coming in now Concorde formation for the final manoeuvre of their display, the Concorde break. That was the 2023 Royal Jordanian Falcons.
C-130 Hercules. Is this difficult to believe, but... So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, look to your right-hand side. One of the very last chances we all have to experience the sight and sound of the C-130 Hercules. After 56 years of magnificent service to the Royal Air Force, this aircraft just has a few days left. Kind of feels like the Ravens leaving the Tower of London. For the future, a tactical airlift in the Royal Air Force is in very safe hands.
Wait the arrival of this very impressive 4-turboprop airlifter, the gestation of which began in the early 1980s as an effort to produce a successor, not just to the Lockheed Hercules, but also the flight of the prototype Airbus A400M on the 11th of December 2009, and it was in 2013 that it came into service with its first operator, France's Armée de l'Air. In then from the right, the Atlas C1.
So when compared with the C-130 Hercules, about 450, 460 miles per hour, that's 100 miles.
C-17s and Voyagers forming the rest of the RAF Air Mobility Force at Fry's Norton were also involved, along with many, and 7 C-17s were involved in that, and they airlifted out more than 15,000 people.
So if you look to your right-hand side, you'll see the aircraft is configured for landing. I'm expecting this to be a low overshoot, so you can see a very tactical approach to the runway here. Hopefully you can see the undercarriage has been lowered, flaps deployed to give the aircraft its best short landing performance, although it won't be landed today, but set up to make that approach. Looking at the future tactical air mobility for the Royal Air Force for many, many years to come. This, the A400M Atlas C1. From the right, I give you the F-35B Lightning.
The engine of the F-35B, a Pratt & Whitney F135 turbofan, which generates some 40,000 pounds of thrust